My name is Michal. I live in Kibbuz Nirim. I'm a mother to Yuval, 16 in 2 days. Noam, she's 13, and Itamar, he's 10. Married to Lee. Just a bit of the life before October 7th, living in the kibbutz in the Western Negev. First of all, it is the most beautiful place in Israel, and it's not arguable. We had a very good community life. My children grew up in a very special and unique way with a lot of values, especially for the land that we live in. And living in the Western Negev, you kind of develop a sixth sense throughout time when you know when things are starting to get bad and the situation is escalating, and how you address it. Whether you close the iron part of the safety room window, or you even tell your children to go and sleep in the safe room at night. But on October 6th, and just before that, we couldn't feel anything. Actually, everything was quite peaceful and okay, and we had a really big celebration. It was the kibbutz birthday on Friday night, and there were a lot of guests in the kibbutz, and we were having a big celebration on the grass, and a big area for the children to like bouncy castles and food trucks, and there was a band, and we had a really good time. We actually were supposed to go to the pool on Saturday. It was the last day of the season. We wanted to have like a farewell celebration from the pool. So October 7th, 6:30 in the morning, the alarm's starting to go off, and we have also the applications on our phone, and everything's going crazy. And living in the Western Negev, you also know who's shooting, if it's jihad or Hamas. So of course we knew immediately it was Hamas. And it took us just a minute or two to understand that this is very, very different from everything we've experienced up until now. It's very, very violent and very, very intense. And living so close to the border, we hear the missiles being launched towards all the parts of the country, to Beersheba, to Tel Aviv. And it doesn't stop. I mean, alarms are going off, and the missiles are going off, and explosions everywhere. So at this point, I'm telling my children, okay, listen, just let's get dressed, put on some clothes, shoes. The minute we have a chance, we're going to run to the car and get out of here. Don't have time to pack. We'll figure out everything later. Now, my husband, he's a police officer in operational unit, and he also does reserve duty in the Gaza division. So he has this situation for about a month. Something is bothering him. I don't know. He feels he wants to be safe. He wants to be on the safe side. So for a month now, he comes home with his M16, his rifle, which isn't part of his duty on day-to-day basis. And then just a few days before October 7th, he goes back to his unit and he leaves the weapon over there. But then something again bothers him. So on Friday, he goes back to his unit. He gets the rifle. He also brings another bulletproof vest home. And I'm like, it's a big bag. And I'm like, what do we need another bullet vest here? And I said, no, I don't know. I just want to be prepared. I don't know. Something's bothering me. Sure enough, 6:30 in the morning. And we're in the safe room. He's already on his uniform, and he's waiting to be called to his unit. And he's trying to call everybody. Nobody's answering. He doesn't know what's going on. We're trying to understand what's going on. Nobody knows. It's already 7 o'clock in the morning. And at this point, I opened the group WhatsApp of the kibbutz. And I start to see messages about shooting and shouts in Arabic. And then my brother sends me a message. He says, listen, they say that you have terrorists in your kibbutz. And so, okay, how many can there be? 10, 20. I mean, the border is so... And IDF is going to come soon, and it will be okay. My husband, he comes into the safe room, and he gives me his gun, and he gives me like a crash course in how to shoot. And at this point, he takes the bulletproof vest and he puts them on my children. And he goes back outside. And he said, whatever you do, come out. And at this point, again, everything seems surreal. I mean, okay, it's expected, that terrorists would do things like that. But again, we didn't understand how big this thing is. We didn't know about the party, anything. And at one point, time goes by. I mean, it's almost 8 o'clock in the morning. I say, okay, might as well be productive. Maybe start packing some clothes for the children. And I go in and out of the safe room. And at one point, I'm going to my bedroom. And the window is opened, which is a miracle because we never sleep with the window open because it's very, very hot. We have the AC on. But at that night, for some reason, we decided we didn't need the air conditioning. And then we start hearing gun blasts. Really, really close. At the end of the path of my house, there's a parking lot. And at the end of that parking lot, there's a shelter. And usually when we have escalations, IDF immediately brings soldiers into the kibbutz, and that's where they stay. So we're looking out of the window, and we see soldiers, and it makes sense to us because it's full-blown war. But why would IDF be shooting inside the kibbutz? And then we take another look, and it's not soldiers, and it's Hamas terrorists, and we see the yellow bands, and they're coming our way. They're like 4 or 5 of them. And then I hear from the back part of my house shouting in Arabic. So 5 are coming through the path, and also I don't know how many came from behind the house. It's like something clicks in my mind, and I run back to the safe room. And I tell my daughters, get behind me. Whatever comes through that door, we're fighting. Don't be afraid, I'm here with you. And I give my oldest daughter a pepper spray canister, and I give my other daughter a club. They're looking at me, and I said, we have to fight. Whatever comes through that door, we are fighting. And this is seconds. And then we hear shooting inside the house, and we understand my husband is engaged in battle. And I'm standing in front of the safe room's door and pointing the gun through the door, just waiting for the angel of death to come in. And my husband comes in, and he closes the door, and he said, I just shot a terrorist. He tried to get into the house. And as he finishes that sentence, they start spraying the house with a Kalashnikov from everywhere, from behind, from the front, from the side. And they're shooting like crazy. And they take out the electricity, so now we're in dark as well. Can't see. And then there's a few seconds of silence. They stop shooting. We hear some kind of racket. Later on, we understood that they dragged the terrorist's body. And then they started attacking us with grenades inside. And everything is exploding. And then our ears are ringing. And the whole safe room is filled with smoke, the gunpowder and smoke. And, my husband and I, we were thrown back. We don't have time to recuperate. We don't have time to assess what's going on. He just grabs me. He picks me up. And we look at each other and we say, okay, we're fighting till the last bullet that we have. And we tell our children, no matter what, we either die together or we walk out on our terms together. We're not going to be hostages. And that's the message that we tell them. And then we're just standing like that. My husband is pointing his weapon to the door. I'm standing behind him. The children at this point are on the floor, lying down. And then they continue to move on. And they leave us. And we're like that for about 9 hours until IDF comes and calls us out, and we go out. I open the door, and I see my house destroyed. back, and I don't have time to even assess what's going on, but everything is completely destroyed. And as I'm walking out of the safe room, it's in the back part of my house. We're going through the living room, and I had a glass cabinet in the living room where I kept my grandmother's Chanukiah and my son's Kiddush cup that he got from her. And they're like on the floor, with everything shattered and broken around them. I'm not a religious person. But looking at that snapshot, and after the hours that we've been through, and again, we still don't understand how big this is. In all this time, even though what's going on in our house, they're still shooting. I mean, the alarms are still going off. And I look at this and I say, okay, this is our history. Everything we've heard, everything we've been taught about the Holocaust, we've just been through that. It's very hard to comprehend at that moment. We don't have time. Soldiers said, we have to go now. There's still terrorists here. We have to get you to safety. So they escort us to the clubhouse in the center of the kibbutz. And at that point, my husband leaves us, and he goes and he joins the army, and he goes from house to house, and they rescue people. And we're all gathered there up until October 8th, about 500 people. We understand we have hostages. We understand we have casualties. We don't know what's going on, like in Niroz, which is 500 meters from us. We didn't know about the party. We just saw chains of smoke everywhere. And again, alarms don't stop. They continue shooting all the time. And on October 8th, we get clearance from the army to be evacuated out of the area. And they're giving us 10 minutes, everybody, to go home to collect belongings. I'm looking at my husband, I said, I didn't examine thoroughly what was going in the house, but I understand there's nothing left. But I still want to go back. And I'm standing in front of my home, and I'm scared to go in. And I tell, okay, go inside, see it's clear that nobody's hiding in there. And he gives me the clear, and I go inside. And then I take 2 pictures, my deceased father-in-law portraits that he drew of my husband and my eldest daughter. And these are the things that we leave with. That's it. That's our belongings. And then we join the kibbutz again, and we're all in a very long convoy. We're leaving the area. We're being evacuated to Eilat. This much we know. But what was waiting for us just behind the gate of the kibbutz, I never thought I would see in my life. No matter how many Hollywood movies you see or heard stories, it's unimaginable. And I'm driving. My husband is sitting next to me with his rifle because we know we have to go by Ofakim, and the hostage situation in Ofakim is not over yet, and there are still terrorists all around. So we're driving very, very slowly. And it's horrific. Cars burned or shot, and bodies just laying on the ground or out of the cars. My children are experiencing this. And we finally get to Beersheba, just at the outskirts of Beersheba, and I pull over. And then I just break down. I don't understand what we've just been through. And then we become refugees. We live in a hotel for 4.5 months in Eilat in 2 bedrooms. And throughout this time, there were hostages, they were dead, and they were missing. My children have friends that are considered missing. And then as days go by, okay, this one is identified, and this one was identified, and this one is identified. And my children may be children on paper with their ages, but they're not children anymore. They lost their classmates, they lost teachers. They had to go to funerals. It's just, and this is what we've been dealing with ever since. We are still in October 7th. We haven't left that safe room. We're still there.
Thank you very much.